More than 4 dozen magical amulets of the hippopotamus-shaped goddess Taweret can be found in the Glencairn Museum's ancient Egyptian collection. Taweret was an important character in ancient Egyptian families' religious lives, and her picture may be seen on a variety of magical devices. Taweret amulets were worn by pregnant and nursing mothers to protect themselves and their newborns from evil spirits. The goddess combines the physical attributes of the hippopotamus, crocodile, and lion to create a terrifying figure. Taweret carried a knife on occasion to aid her in fending off evil. So, in today's video, we're gonna be talking on the Egyptian goddess Taweret. So, let's get into this. Ancient Egyptian life revolved around the family unit, which included both humans and gods. Gods and goddesses established family units consisting of a father, mother, and child god in temples around Egypt. The divine family of Osiris, Isis, and Horus is the most well-known example of one of these divine families. Isis was a goddess who served as a model wife and mother in addition to being a powerful goddess. She took great care to safeguard her son Horus from his uncle Set after Osiris's death at the hands of his brother Set. She wanted to ensure that Horus would inherit his father's reign as his rightful successor. The Egyptians were very concerned about starting a family and having a kid, especially a boy. This problem is addressed in wisdom or instruction literature from the Old Kingdom from 2625 BCE to 2130 BCE until the Ptolemaic Pyramid of 332 to 330 BC. The purpose of these teachings was to impart moral, ethical, religious, and practical directions for living to those who receive them. In these writings, there is a lot of advice about family matters. We find the following lines in an Old Kingdom document dated from around 2300 BCE. Quote, "When you thrive, found your home, take a hearty bride, a son will be born to you. You are constructing a home for your son." In the New Kingdom, some 1,000 years later, from 1539 to 1075 BCE, a similar piece of advice can be found. Quote, "Take a woman when you are young, so that she may bear you a son while you are young." And also, quote, "Take for yourself a bride when you are 20 years old, that you may have a son when you are young," says a Demotic wisdom literature inscribed on papyrus dating from the 2nd century BCE. With all of this emphasis on having children, it's important to remember that while the birth of a child was a joyous occasion, it was also a time of worry. Pregnancy, birth, and the postpartum period were all deadly times for both mother and child in pre-modern civilizations. Although we don't have specific figures for child mortality in ancient Egypt, research suggests that the percentages were likely comparable to those in other societies, for which we have reliable data. This means that almost 20% of babies did not live to see their first birthday, and 35% of those who did not live to see their 5th birthday. From work at the Ghurab, Matmar, and Mostagatta cemeteries, nearly half of the excavated burials in Egypt were for children and newborns, according to findings. One only needs to visit Tutankhamun's tomb to have a touching and very personal sense of this brutal reality. 2 little coffins containing the mummified remains of 2 tiny stillborn female newborns, one with a gestational age of about 5 months and the other somewhat older, were buried with the king alongside the dazzling golden treasures. Tutankhamun and his wife, Ankhesenamun, were most likely the parents of these children. King Tutankhamun died without a living heir. Even if the birth went well, the infant was still in grave risk. How did the ancient Egyptians cope in the face of such adversity? Egyptians could seek health-related answers in a variety of ways. They possessed exceptional medical expertise, as evidenced by a number of medical papyri, some dating back to 1820 BCE, that included instructions for the treatment of sick and injured people. In ancient Egypt, doctors were known as Sunu, and they treated patients with rigorous physical examinations, medical prescriptions, and even modest surgical skills. The ancient Egyptian doctor combined practical uses of medicine and other, quote, scientific cures with magical or religious interventions. The Egyptians would offer prayers to their gods in the hopes of creating a cure, as evidenced by inscriptions on stelae. Individuals could also bring personal matters to the gods, such as a wish for a son. The British Museum has a stela belonging to a woman named 𝐼𝐴𝐺𝐻otep, who tells how she and her husband Pasherenptah had 3 girls, but yearned for a son. They prayed to the god 𝐼𝐴𝐺𝐻otep, according to the text. Recitation of spells and prayers, as well as the usage of magical amulets or figurines, were regarded appropriate treatments for illness or solutions to personal problems by the Egyptians. Amulets are charms or talismans that a person wears to provide protection or power. Egyptian amulets could resemble gods and goddesses, various animals or birds, bodily parts, or other natural forms. Men and women, both living and dead, utilized amulets in ancient Egypt because they were filled with magical or sacred energy. Egyptian amulets were constructed of a range of materials: stone, shell, bone, pottery, wood, and metals such as bronze, gold, and electrum, and were frequently incorporated into jewelry. These materials, or their inherent colors, were frequently endowed with magical properties. Faience, a form of glazed composition with a sandy core and a glassy surface, was perhaps the most prevalent material for amulets. The faience was shaped by artisans while it was still soft, and then fired. Faience were available in a variety of colors, the most popular of which being blue-green or a turquoise. Blue was associated with the sky, the solar cycle, and the rebirth by the Egyptians. Green conjured up images of healing, expansion, and the possibility of life. Furthermore, the term green can signify complete or sound. Taweret has a hippopotamus's head and body. The fact that she is not just any hippopotamus, but a pregnant hippopotamus, adds to her awe-inspiring stature. Her mouth is frequently open, revealing her tusks and tongue in a frightening exhibition. She wears a long wig, as do many other feminine goddesses. Her wig is frequently topped with a modius, a flat, cylindrical headpiece. She is sometimes depicted with a horned sun disk crown, which is also worn by other goddesses such as Isis and Hathor. Taweret was a well-known goddess of the home. She may have had a sanctuary at Deir el-Medina, but much of her cult took place in domestic shrines rather than massive state-run temples. To fend off evil, apotropomaic images of Taweret are seen on the outside of Ptolemaic temples, much like gargoyle imagery protects Christian cathedrals. Taweret's image can be found on a variety of home products, including mattresses, stools, and headrests. Her service as a healer is attested by votive stelae. Taweret's fame expanded beyond Egypt's borders, and sculptures of her may be seen in Crete and at the Nubian sites of Kerma and Miro. What do you think of this video? Let us know in the comments below. If you like this video, then like, share, and comment, and press that bell icon for the latest updates.